So welcome to the Node.js Community Package Maintenance Team meeting for April 22nd, 2019. We'll follow the agenda that was posted in the issue. So the first thing is, are there any announcements that people would like to make? Okay, if not, we will go on to the agenda items. The first one is add minutes for meeting for April 8th. I'm not quite sure why that's on there. That's closed, so I think that must have just been a mistake. Well, I added it, but anyway, nothing to discuss there. The next one is number 189, which is session at Node.js Collaborator Summit. So if people would like to open that one up, that is, I got together with Matteo and we did a little bit of brainstorming. And, you know, we have a proposal there outlined in the second comment. And I guess we just put this on the agenda to get feedback, see if it makes sense to everybody, and I guess just talk about the session there, see who's potentially going, that kind of stuff.
I'll be able to attend, so I'll be there.
Okay, that's great. Any comments or thoughts on the proposal?
I don't have any. I don't know if anyone else does.
Okay, if we think that that's good, then I can go ahead and submit it. And I'm not sure when they're going to announce the agenda, but we'll get it in there and see how it goes. If there's any thoughts, you know, between, I guess I'll submit it. We can always revise it. So if you have thoughts or things that you think we should add or change, just let me know. Okay, so I'm just going to take a note. Reviewed in today's meeting seems good. Okay. Oops, got one more attendee to promote here. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is, let me move on. Oops. Okay, the next one on the agenda is number 169, first draft of the testing guidelines. Just looking at that, that's 169. So I think, Emily, you submitted that one, right?
That's right. I am not sure how to resolve some of, let's see, LJ Harb, Jordan's comments. If we want, I think I was asking if just deleting the whole entire how section would be a good move, or if there's something better that would resolve some of the problems around suggesting things and clarifying browser support, etc. So I don't know if I should add something or remove something.
Yeah, I think definitely like having some concrete suggestions. So the useful tools are definitely good. I guess the how was, there was some discussion about, it's hard to, there's too many different ways, so it's hard to suggest one way to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be good to, I mean, I think I'd be happy to have this go ahead and land as a first cut. I think it would be good to get in the, like if I'm a package maintainer and I'm at 0, how do I get to the point where I have some tests? Like, is there some baseline, you know, having a test? A few of the things I had in mind is like, if we can get to the point where more modules, you can just run npm test and actually check the output. like check the results, because I think, you know, we've tried to run the tests on modules and it's not always that easy to actually run them and confirm that you think that everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for example, on different platforms and stuff like that. So some guidance around how to get to sort of a, you know, a package JSON or something like that that has a standard way of running them and then reporting the results would be kind of interesting.
Okay, so maybe add something around like best practice would be to have a, you know, this in your package.json that runs all the tests and has outputs.
Yeah, and if there's anything we can say about the output, like I'd have to look more at the different ones, like, and and maybe I can ask some of the people on the team who was doing some of this work what the challenges were, but it's kind of like if you run the tests, but then there's no way to tell whether you passed or failed, that's not as good as, yeah, it clearly reports that you passed or you failed, you know. Now,
Okay.
I got to expect that most of the time it should report that, but it seems like it wasn't always, you know, obvious how to just run and get the test to do the right thing. But I think that could be done as a second, like a follow-on PR, right? Like, so this could be landed as a first draft, and then we could try and see how we add stuff to it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Any other comments or people have comment suggestions on that front? No, okay. So let's move on to the next one, which is 164. So this is baseline practice npm ignore or package JSON files. I'm just going to see, we don't have Joel this week, but I know we discussed it in the last, let me look at the minutes from the last meeting. I'm trying to remember what the context was that we discussed. Okay, did we discuss that one? 169, right? Should be close to ready to land. Okay, that's the only comment. So I guess it's probably still in the same state. So we just need to review and see if we can get that one landed. Oh, and actually, sorry, I should have flipped over to the actual PR itself. Right, so I guess that just needs a review and landing. I'm going to hope to block an hour off today later, so hopefully I can get to that. If anybody else has time to go and review, that'd be great. Moving on to the next one. That's neat. Create a support section validator, number 161 is the next one. I did try it out and it looked like it did what we expected. Had a couple comments. I also opened an admin issue to ask to move it over to the node repository, since that seemed like a good idea. I don't see an answer to some of the questions, but anyway, unless there's anything specific we should talk about, we could just work on that through the issue itself. Any questions, comments, things to discuss? The next one is number 150, which is a deprecate guidelines document. Okay, so I think that looks again like it just needs a few more reviews. Okay, so I think just needs a few more reviews and that can land. I think there's a few comments, not sure they're addressed, but we can continue to work on through the issue. Okay, then the next one is number 113, which is which problems do OSS maintainers authors face today? Unfortunately, we don't have Matteo this week. I think he's sort of been leading that one. We were hopefully, Wes had mentioned that he was going to work on answering the questions from Express as well. I did have a bit of a chat with Matteo last week just to sort of brainstorm on how we might start building the backlog as well. And he was going to open up something that added a few entries based on MQTT as a starting point. So I think that's kind of the next 2 steps on there. So I think we'll just need to, I don't know if we should see if there's some way we can figure out how to help Matteo on that one, because it seems like he's pretty busy. So if anybody has time or thoughts on how they might jump into that, just talk to one of us. Otherwise, we will look to see. I mean, Wes was going to just sort of ramping back up, and hopefully we'll get the Express side engaged as well. That was what was on the agenda items. What we next have on the agenda, that's the sort of the tagged agenda items. We also have on the agenda, oops, and I got one more person to promote here. On the agenda, tagged agenda on the agenda, sorry. We also do have going through the board or the project. So let me maybe just share that. I'm going to share the board. So this is what's currently on the board. We'll see if there's anything else we should talk about. So just sort of some to-dos. So if people are looking for new things to pick up and start writing, those are some of the things there. Reviews in progress. I think we talked about that and done.
Should we move 164 to in progress?
164, where is that? Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any of the others have any updates on them.
Yeah, I think we've talked about a bunch of them, unless anybody else has any updates on any of the other ones.
I have a quick one. Can you hear me okay?
You're very quiet. I don't know if it's just me or.
It's probably, I'll try to speak louder.
Okay, that's better.
Not using it properly. Yeah, issue 142. So Matteo mentioned the list of top 1,000 modules.
Yep.
I ran a scan, well, 2 scans of some basic data. So just wanted to point out that we should ask more questions there so that we can run more scans for that data. But just the 2 examples that I have there. One is the age of the last release of a package. So in the top 1,000, we have around 40% that have not been released in a year, which could be a proxy to which versions of Node they have been tested. And then I took another YAML file, which also shows that only like, I don't know, less than half of packages are actively testing in, it's the next comment. I think I have the thing collapsed. Less than half.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, less than half of the packages are testing in Node 10. Maybe there's some grouping to be done there, but this paints a picture of the top 1,000 most downloaded packages. And
right. Okay.
this might very well be actionable because at the very least, I'm not sure if it falls for this group to do the work, but at the very least, maybe a bot is easier. At the very least, there should be PRs open to update all of these Travis YAML files to actually run tests in more nodes and
right.
in the more recent nodes, because looking just by the activity of these packages, they might not have been actively testing in CI. So there's more questions that we can ask from that data.
Right.
So possibly post them on the issue. And yeah, I don't know if there's an action point in terms of which nodes packages are testing on.
Well, I think that's a good one. I mean, we'd started some discussion / work around some tooling that we would have to let package maintainers opt into that would then like potentially generate PRs for different things. Like, you know, one, for example, was like the package, the new buffer constructors. But this would be another very good example of that. Is like, okay, if it's, you know, less than half are testing with the latest LTS, as a package maintainer, you could opt into, you know, hey, I'd like to get PRs for when there's a new version of Node, right, to update my Travis.yaml. Does that make sense?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I guess I can possibly create an issue for that follow-up work. The follow-on from that is that in the sort of initial idea of why this group exists, there's the case of following up with businesses in terms of which packages they care about. And yeah, testing in latest Node and making sure that packages are compatible. That's probably something that is important for businesses. And I wonder if there's a more active engagement needed there. Like the opt-in into automatic upgrades. That can actually be implemented as part of Renovate or Greenkeeper, I suppose, as a plugin there or something like that. But the broader aspect of it all, getting that actual piece of maintenance, that's and I wonder if there's a way to, I don't know, to actually move forward that stuff in a
Yeah, like you mean the actual, like if it doesn't work in the newest version or something, right?
That as well, yeah. And once again, we have a lot of people in the members MD file.
Yep.
And if this is something, getting these upgrades done, is this something that sort of could be a good starting point for actually using all of these people that we have volunteered?
Yeah, like basically test on the latest, move up the testing, see if it works. If it doesn't, try and submit PRs or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I like that idea, and that's a good concrete thing. I guess the question would be, how do we get that list? Like you've got I guess you've got some data which is generating a list of how many. It's like which packages, how do we choose which packages to sort of list as the ones to try and get people to go look at?
Yeah, I can get that list fairly easily. I suppose I have the data locally, so. Shall I open an issue with packages in the top 1000 that do not use latest LTS for testing or something like that?
Yeah, I think they'd need to be filtered by like usage or something like that, right?
This is already top 1000 downloaded. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How yeah, in the top, okay, so from the top 1000, how, like what's the lowest number of downloads for one of those?
I have no idea, to be honest, but there's a link Matteo posted in the sheet. It links to a doc, and if we scroll to the bottom, then it's very easy to open up.
Yeah,
I'm not at my laptop right now, so.
Sorry, if you should be sharing in the screen. So is that?
So Matteo's comment is just above my first comment, I believe.
So this one right here, right?
Yes, this one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just.
Oh, it already has the count. That's great.
Right, so that's 3 million.
It gives you 5 days at the top. I think it's in the name of the doc, so it's.
Right. Okay. Forward to, yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, that's very good. So I think that's a concrete. You know, which of these don't support 10 or don't? I guess you're saying they don't test against 10, right?
Yeah, they don't actively test again. Well, I mean, maybe they do, but the thing is that they don't have version 10 in their Travis YAML if they do have a Travis YAML at all.
Right. Okay. So in theory, if you have a Travis YAML, that's possibly how you're using to test. Yeah, I think that's a thing that's a concrete thing we could, and probably fairly manageable. So we could ask people to, pick some, and we can see how that works out or not, right?
Sure. I guess I'll just create an issue, and I will list all the packages that have a Travis YAML and
Yep.
do not have nodes 10 in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do something about it, and then we measure. I don't know.
Right.
A couple of months.
I think it'd be good to have the next steps that we'd like to do. So like here's the list, and what do we think? Maybe we can discuss that in issue 2, but like what are the concrete next steps that we should take based on that list?
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I was going to ask about,
ahead.
seems to be talking about Travis a lot, but obviously it's not the only continuous integration platform. Have we talked about this in any other issue? I kind of did a quick scan now, but nothing came up of predefined templates for different CI platforms that we can share as part of this initiative. Like if we have, here's a best setup for Travis, here's a best setup for Circle, here's a best setup for Scrutinizer, and so on and so forth. That might be useful for package maintainers. And then when we do take the next steps on this action, be it that try to add different versions or different coverages for those top packages, we can use those templates or at least point to them.
Right. That's kind of where I was hopeful we'll get to under the testing stuff that Emily was, we had the very first top level description, but it'd be nice if that would then go into, and here's how you can set up some testing for, for Travis, for those other ones you mentioned. And along with that would be templates. So definitely, I think that would be very useful for people. It's kind of like, okay, I don't have anything, I'll just take that. That's probably great, right?
Is there an issue for that, or should I open one or augment an existing one with some comments?
I think so. Emily, do you know, there was your PR, was there any other issue?
The PR was made from an issue, but I think I can find out which issue that was from.
I think
157. 157 was the issue that it was pulled from.
Okay. So what's in 157?
Yeah.
Seems pretty top level.
Okay, so if it's got a bunch, like if it's not just on testing.
Yeah.
Baseline practices testing. I think
I think
that would be. We might as well use that one, and just we've got the first PR that's references that. We could have follow-ons, right?
Yeah. I'll leave some comments and see how the rest of the group feels.
Okay, sounds good.
And also on the comment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Emily.
I'll also add the comment that we discussed earlier. I have notes, so I'll just dump them in there.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Also on the comment earlier on engaging with businesses, just a quick reminder, we have the Node Enterprise Focus Group happening on Thursday, I believe. I'm going to paste the issue number 144 under the user feedback repo. We've invited a number of enterprise businesses and representatives from them just to discuss at large feedback from their usage of Node.js into the Node.js project. And this would be another question to bring up and topic to bring up in terms of package maintenance and in terms of, what is it, the things they rely on the most, or perhaps they can just simply indicate to us and comment to us where they would like to see, let's say, one of those top 10 or 20 packages that they have heavily reliance on and they're missing some context with. Then at least that gives us a little bit of a signal as well.
Right. So is that one of the things you have on the agenda?
I just added it now.
Okay. And related to that, I think you were going to start working on sort of a proposal or a concept of what we should be working on in terms of helping businesses figure out what modules they're interested in, that kind of stuff, right? Sort of to help motivate them to get people involved.
Yeah, we kind of raised that topic in an earlier conversation, and the biggest challenge was fear of sharing information that they shouldn't be sharing, whether it's, from a security perspective, even indicating what type of packages you're using might be risky. We haven't really figured out a better approach yet, but somewhere where businesses can at least signal or indicate their interest or their usage of certain things, and then we can then facilitate for them mechanism how they can contribute as well, or help their team members contribute. So again, I think that's an ongoing conversation. I don't think we have a particular path there yet, but this would be a perfect example. As there's an initiative already going on, we have identified a list of packages that we might want to prioritize. Maybe that's where we can engage and say, hey, help us prioritize them.
Right. I'm even thinking like just to incentivize the businesses to, I think you mentioned like ways to help them understand that they're using these modules and therefore, hey, they should be contributing. I think that's, so that doesn't actually even require them to say, these are the ones we're interested in, just for them to go, wait a sec, maybe I should get involved to help.
Right. So from that lens, it was a visibility problem for a lot of businesses to even know what they're using if it's not a direct dependency of theirs, right? There might be hidden nested deep in some dependency tree. I've built some tools to that end. I think I'm happy to demo them perhaps next time in this meeting. I might also try to demo some of them at the Thursday meeting if I have enough time to clean them up. But yeah, the idea is that any tools or any methods for bigger companies to even understand their dependency tree, or at least just have visibility into it, would be a mechanism for them to be more interested in kind of leaning in and helping out with those kind of projects. Because a lot of time people only see what's in their direct dependencies, not downstream or down the tree of dependencies.
Okay.
Would you mind sharing these tools sooner? I was going to build something very, very soon for our internal stuff, but if I don't have to,
I guess I'll just, maybe I'll just show you.
There's also the case that I recently spoke to somebody from SNCC, and it was an unrelated conversation, but what they mentioned is that they have some data that shows that the businesses that use SNCC, they scan a different set of packages than what you see on NPM that are the most popular packages. So the packages that are widely used in the community are different from the packages that are widely used in a commercial context. I never followed up, but it would be very nice if somebody with a bit more clout than myself could poke somebody in SNCC and ask them if they could share some of that data.
We should definitely engage with them.
Yeah, so if you capture that in an issue or something, like Laurent's in the security working group, and he works at SNCC, so I think we could, sort of reach out to him through that group. I talk to him there fairly often, see if it's data they could share. Or
can you all see my screen? All right, this is a very rough demo. It is terribly written code. I do apologize, but this is a prototype that I pulled together in a short amount of time. You can actually use it yourself if you do trust me accessing your GitHub repos with a GitHub application. So I'm not actually scraping data. It's dependencies.org is the domain. Basically, you log in, you're able to add an organization on GitHub, just as typically with the installation of a new org, as you're probably has seen this workflow before. I'm not going to add a new one. Once you add it, it goes in and scans all your dependencies and actually scans for everything across package.json, yarn.lock, package.lock.json. I'm even started to add like other non-JavaScript stuff like a composer.json and Ruby gem scanning and all of that. Basically, it finds all the repositories. Here's a massive monorepo that I have and all the declared and resolved dependencies on it. Here's a simple one. It just basically scans and parses your package.json and package.lock.json, and then puts them in a database, and then through an ugly UI, as you can tell, gives you information about those packages and their versions across your org. For example, here's here's in my org, aka my user account in this case. Like I said, my UI is not that great. Here's all the declared versions and all the resolved versions that I have off tap under github.com/Ahmed Nasri. And here's all the repositories that depend on it. Again, this is not too helpful, but it gives you a high-level view of basically every dependency you have, and then helps you drill down and say, okay, well, maybe I should go fix this because 10.3 has a vulnerability or too old. And I want to start building UI, like reporting UIs and dashboards are more helpful or meaningful here. For example, top used packages, I use Yargs a lot. Here's all the versions of Yarg that I've declared and the ones that got resolved, and here's all the repositories that depend on it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think there's also another view for advisories. This is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of pull in the advisory information and just list all the vulnerabilities that were detected based on the version matching, again, across an org. So the reason this is interesting and different is because it does it on an org level as opposed to a repo level. I've seen a lot of tools where, per project, you just run it in your local environment. You have a UI view similar to this, but this is on an org level. And it works through GitHub hooks. So every time you commit anything to GitHub, like your package.json is changed or package.lock changed, it will trigger again, parse that information, and dump it in a database. The code for this is available, but like I said, it's not that pretty. And it's most certainly, without any doubt, has SQL injections problems. So it's org-dependencies. I'll also send this link in the group chat here. But yeah, this was really fastly put together just as a proof of concept. It's not that pretty as far as the UI goes, but if you guys want to contribute or participate, as I'm trying to clean it up, I have a big long stretch of refactoring already going on for the app to make it more strengthened and useful for securing that data. The data itself that's being stored, like I said, it's only just the dependencies and their versions, and of course the repository information, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
This is awesome. Does it work with GitHub Enterprise yet?
No. It can. I'm using standard GitHub APIs and everything else, and I am using the OctoKit library. So I have left a to-do item in there for allowing a custom endpoint for a GitHub Enterprise domain.
Okay, cool.
But I have not tested it.
Right. All right, thank you.
PRs are welcome. So yeah, this is a fun project for me that I'm working on. Again, it's not limited to Node or JavaScript. It's just the idea is parsing any sort of package declaration or dependency declaration and just putting it in a database, doing some level of helpful UI so that organizations can get that visibility that I was just talking about earlier. Because I didn't know I had all these dependencies in there. I just used some certain ones, and then they pulled in thousands.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. So yeah, it's interesting to sort of, that kind of tool might then let us build up the, hey, you want to make the case for your organization getting involved with the helping to maintain some of these. You can run through this, get the data, and then, maybe here's how you slice and dice it to get something that makes a compelling case. Be good to work towards that.
Yeah.
Are you planning to go to the Collaborator Summit?
I am, yes.
Okay. So I don't know, depending on where you're at in the session and what we put on the agenda, there's always possible that we could talk about that side of things too.
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay. So next, like in terms of next things, Dominicus, you're going to create the issue that shows like, here's the ones that don't appear to be testing with 10. And I haven't looked, but I will to see if Matteo had put together a board, like he was going to add some board entries. If he hasn't, maybe we should, Dominicus, you could take a look too. Like what we want to do is figure out how we start to build something that looks like a backlog that we could then make the call to all the members and say, okay, we've started to put things on the backlog, and it sounds like these, check if the 10 is supported, run the tests, see if it works, maybe submit a PR might be a good things to start putting onto that backlog. Because I think if we have that structure, it'll then be easier to maybe just add to it as opposed to having to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, okay. I can start with the issue and we take it from there.
Okay. It sounds good. So that was, I think, the things that I did want to ask Matt a little bit about the business side of things, but it sounds like we got things nicely lined up with the enterprise working group this week. Any other topics or things people would like to discuss? Okay, if not, I think that will be the meeting for this week. I'm not going to be able to make the next meeting. I'm away sort of Monday to Monday, so I'll miss the next one. I'll see if Mateo is available to chair. If not, I'll open an issue asking if somebody else can do that. So, well, I'll see you and work with you through GitHub, and otherwise I'll see you in a couple meetings from now. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.